Welcome to this special episode of the Agents Angle, which as promised features the full interview with our guest from last week's episode. In that episode we discussed amongst other things agents associations and how since the emergence of the FFAR, FIFA Football Agent Regulations, there have been arguably three main international football agents associations for agents to choose from. However, more recently, we've seen the emergence of a new agents association on the scene, which has reported a rapidly growing number of members. So we were pleased to welcome to the Agents Angle the founder of this new agents association to enlighten us further on this, as well as share insights and his thoughts on other football agent related matters, including regulation, the agency business, as well as agent education and development.
And today we're excited and honoured to have Dr. Erkut Sogut on the podcast, a world-renowned football agent and football lawyer who's been involved in major player deals, including that of Mesut Ozil. Erkut is a well-known author and lecturer and inspiration to many new and up-and-coming football agents. He's the founder of the agency Grow and the Sports Agents Academy. Erkut has over the years based himself in various key football markets like the United Kingdom, Turkey, Germany, and now California, the United States of America, therefore has a compelling and informed insights of how football agency works and also the football transfer market has developed worldwide. Recently, Erkut was the founder of the new International Agents Association, namely the International Federation of Football Agents, known as IFFA. Erkut, welcome to the Agents Angle.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Peter, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and with you and Jonathan. And I look forward to our conversation today. And it will be great.
Thank you. Can you tell us what motivated you to launch IFFA, or the International Federation of Football Agents, and why now at this, maybe I can call it seminal moment for football agents?
Oh, yeah, thank you. That's a very good question. I mean, first of all, I'm someone who always believed in working together, right? And doing things together with right people, having a good network, having good education. That's why even while I was a law student back in Germany, I founded the Turkish-German Law Association, right? Just like bringing people together. That was back in 2001. So I have done many associations throughout my life, not just in football. And this is just a part of that. And I felt it was the right time because FIFA, with the new agent license system, we have now licensed agents back, after the reform. And I wanted to bring them under one umbrella and create an opportunity where we network with each other, because that's one of the biggest obstacles for many agents worldwide. For someone like me who worked in many countries, having not being able to find other agents in other countries and doing deals together, because we agents, we work with each other. And rather than working against each other, why don't we create an environment where we work together and do deals together and everyone has something from it? And besides networking, the education part is very important for me. How can we invite great guests to IFFA, where we have sporting directors, club owners, scouts, other successful agents, and learn from each other? And I think that's a platform for that, which we had just Bruno Costa, the sporting director from Fortaleza in Brazil. So he shared his knowledge and he explained agents what he's expecting from agents when they approach a club. And it was so valuable. And the agent said afterwards, wow, we didn't know that we have to approach a club that way. And it's important knowledge to have and to gain. And there's a knowledge gap in the market. And I said with IFFA, we couldn't actually close that. And also another thing is to be a global voice and under one umbrella, be one voice for agents. And when it comes to our rights, that we can operate together, that we can demand certain things for people who are doing regulations about us. And I felt there is no agent or association until today, there was none in the world, which actually brings all these components which I just mentioned under one umbrella and acts in a global way, where agents from Africa, Asia, Australia, Europe, South and North America can come together and say, okay, that's a place I want to be, because I can network, I can learn, and I can make something together with these agents.
And you touched on there the aspect of other agent associations. Now, in the view of many, some of the agent associations, past and present, have failed because it's not actually clear who they represent. Their policies and their structure are unclear, and or the simple fact they appear to some, and I'll say this is my view as well, They represent more so the interests of the few rather than the many. And I actually believe the likes of FIFA have leveraged this issue, if not actually used it to their advantage in pushing the agents to the periphery on matters that directly affect the agents industry, such as the FFAR. With IFFA, how do you intend to ensure that IFFA is not only representative of individual licensed agents in a fair and equal way, but also, importantly, and I think you'll agree with this, improve the professional standards and reputation of the industry?
Oh yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with you. This is a very, very important point. If working as an agent in an environment which is not easy, to be honest, and especially for someone who's starting in the beginning to become an agent, to have a place where you can just, even a basic question to ask, how does a mandate look like? How can I protect myself and have a mandate, right? How can I get a mandate from a club or from another agent? How can I protect myself, and how can I work with another agent together? Not many agents richly know that, and there's no way of learning it. And I think with IFFA, I think we can close that gap. We can bring them together. We just don't want to be in a situation just founded. Okay, we just founded to fight everything and everyone who's against agents or so. That's not our goal, right? And we also don't look at other associations, to be honest, what they do. That doesn't reflect on us. We just have to do a good work ourselves, right? With everyone. We just have to let the work speak for itself, not what we say, like we need to do something. We need to give the members who join some value, which they see, wow, that's a great place to be. Here I can learn something. Here I can connect with other agents, and here I feel represented. Right, that's also very important. And our goal is to have from every single country in the world a director, a representative within IFFA. So we have at the moment, we just made an announcement today. We have 11 so-called board members. I wouldn't call them like board members. It's just like 11, so to say, the first 11 actually. That was more or less the core team because of course I discussed this idea with them and said, hey, how can we start this rolling? I get their opinion. And then in the end, we just started and rolling the ball. But we have many calls and Zoom calls with agents from all continents, and they will join, right? They will join this team of representatives, and then they will again work within their own country to bring more agents on board, and we will literally grow like that and see, okay, what is missing in that country and how can you do it in this country? I want to actually work with these agents together so they can actually teach the other agents. So I would love to learn from an agent in South Africa. Hey, how does actually a deal work in South Africa? How much can an agent earn there? Where are most of the players from South Africa goes? What are the biggest obstacles in South Africa as an agent, and so on? And then I want to talk with agents from Australia, right? So Peter should come and explain, hey guys, if you want to operate in Australia, this is the situation. And this learning from each other and being under one umbrella will be so valuable. And knowledge is such a valuable thing to have. And if we share the knowledge with each other, we're all getting better. It's not about that's, like, oh my God, why should I work with someone else together if I can do it all myself? That's not future thinking, that's like very restrictive. And I believe in a world where we all work together with each other against and not against each other.
I think we'd agree with that. But we get a lot of questions from people who listen in about which association they should join. And we've pretty much stayed neutral on it. We've invited every agents association here onto the podcast, and it's up to people to decide. And we can't get away from it that in addition to IFFA, we have arguably 2 or maybe 3 international agents associations. We've got IFFA, TFF, and PROFA, the last of which you were actually a significant driving force behind several years ago. Just briefly, for people to evaluate, what are the main ways in which IFFA differentiates itself from those, and also the characteristic it shares with those other associations?
I mean, IFFA is a European agent association. It's already in the world. It's an association that it's attracting European agents, which is not our goal. We're not a regional or a local association. That's already something which is not in our plans, and which we said from the beginning, we can't restrict, and we don't want to. We want to be a global voice for agents, right? For us, every agent, it doesn't matter in South Korea or in Australia or in Uganda, matters. That's why it was important for us from the beginning to be a global voice. So with the others, like, yes, they are not limited to global, to a local a country or a region. And I think there will be different agent associations, and they can also live with each other, and they might have different goals as well somehow. It's not like that we are enemies or that we work against each other. No, again, like, our goals are networking, education, and representing the agents, right? Maybe some other agents associations, they have other primary goals, which is also okay. There will be areas where I believe we will work together, right? And we're not kind of excluding each other and we're saying, hey, we're not talking to that association. I mean, we'll be stronger if we talk to each other. Again, it's not like dividing. And some agents might find a better place to be in another association and will be happy. And some agents will be more happier in ours and maybe that shifts after a while, they might change. That's fine. It's about, where do you see yourself? In which association do you see yourself, and which is good for you? Where can you develop? Where can you learn? And I think that especially the future agents, in my opinion, they will probably prefer to join an association like ours, where a lot of other young agents are, and they want to learn with each other, and they want to grow together. They want to cooperate with each other. I think this is where we are in the business. And look, we are still like very young, right? We're just like a couple of months old. We're not like we're not like a couple of years association, and the other associations are there for a while, right? And they do a job like for many years. And again, I'm not competing with any of them, just to make it very clear. They're there, they do their thing. I respect what they do. I will never say they do a bad word or a bad thing or a good thing. That's their thing, and they're also an association, and I respect everyone what they do. And this is our goal, and we welcome every agent. We're not saying, hey, because you're in that association, you can't be part of ours. That's also not what we want, right? You can be at the same time with the European Agent Association, but you can be also with us. So we're not saying either them or us again. So we are open for everyone who want to be part of our journey with us. And we want to, again, we are more an association that grows with their members and learns from each other and builds something together, rather than that's us, ABC, either you accept ABC and join. No, this is us, we're starting, join, let's build it together. That's our goal, to see what we actually need, what these agents really need out there, and we're listening to them, and we're finding out they need contracts, they need mandates, they need really basic things, actually, right? And contacts in the world there, because most of them are single agents or two people working together in one country. They can't find another agent in South Korea. And we want to create an environment where we have members with information, with email address, phone number, says, okay, this is an IFFA member in South Korea, in Seoul, and you are an agent in Uganda, so you're both members, you can talk with each other. So you can trust and start a conversation and learn from each other. So that's the goal. We want to actually bring these members together.
I think that's a very welcome message, because we've used the phrase a couple of times now of a divide and conquer strategy seems to be employed against agents that has almost driven a wedge between not just agents associations, but individual agents, and that needs to be addressed. But we'll go into that aspect now of FIFA and the FFAR. If I can just ask, from your perspective, how have we got to a position where agents who are so influential in the business of football now are so underrepresented or misunderstood by the football governing bodies in recent years, which is epitomised, I think, by FIFA and the whole FFAR saga?
Now you open a topic, right? We can talk like hours about that. I mean, look, back in 2018, I think it was the first meeting. I think it was April 2018 in Zurich. And I was a part of this first meeting, and the meeting's ongoing as well, right? And there were some agents from different parts of the world in this first meeting, including Mino Raiola, who passed away, and a lot of others, right? And my goal and ambition was, from this first meeting onwards, let's do it together, right? All the agents and FIFA, let's work on this piece together. Let's bring all our knowledge and information, and how can we build it? That was my intention when I went there. That was my goal. So uniting again with everyone together in football, if it's ECA or FIFPro representatives. Let's come all together. Let's listen to the player side. Let's listen to the association side. Let's listen to the player agents. And what is the best outcome here? So a real consultation process is something where all parties have an influence. If it is not a consultation process when one party dictates what they want and the others just may say yes or no, or just give some input which has no reflection on anything. And I felt like I mean, look, the guys were like really nice guys. I personally like the ones that FIFA were talking with. I had never any issues with anyone, but I felt I have no impact. Okay, it was when I joined this consultation process, I was so enthusiastic and I felt I'll really have an impact here. I really can add my knowledge in education and contracts and how agents need to be. And my major goal was education there in that goal, right? How can we educate them? What kind of courses they need under the FIFA umbrella and so on, right? But I felt like more and more when time passes, 1 year, two, I have no kind of impact. I felt like more being there and dragged on rather than and then I said that openly. Look, guys, this is not what I was intending to be, and I don't want to be in a part of a journey where I'm representing agents, which I don't do here. So I would rather leave this consultation process because I don't want to be part of something which I had no influence in and which is not what I want anyways. So that's why I left the process. I left the consultation process back then. Because again, I want to be somewhere where I have an input, where I can change something, where I want to really be heard, by everyone. But I didn't feel it. So I decided on a personal level that I leave the agent consultation process, but I also left Profa at the time, which we created with Penny Dominguez at the time. And he's also an Australian agent, as you guys know. And so for me, it was like, again, the intention with Profa was the same. We need a global association. But again, we had different ideas eventually, and I said I don't want to stick with that either. So I kind of left both pros like Profa, and I said to myself, one day when the time is right, I'll come with something, and now is the time for me after a couple of years where I feel, okay, this is the right time to build something. What I always wanted to build with Profa, maybe in the first place, I want to build now with this one.
I think we can share your opinion there because all three of us were involved in that, shall we say, process likened to consultation. And I think we all reached a tipping point where we decided we've done what we can here and we can't do any more. So I think Peter and I can appreciate your position there. What's been the general response from industry stakeholders to IFFA's formation so far? And importantly, that relationship with FIFA, particularly in light of the ongoing disputes and debates on FFAR. And with that in mind, will IFFA be represented on the FIFA Agent Working Group or seeking a place on that working group? And what are your own observations and IFFA's stance on the FIFA Agent Working Group?
You just asked me 4 or 5 questions in one line.
We have to double layer them.
I need to go. I try to answer them all. So it was good. It was smart. You slowly give me another question, another. So the reaction from stakeholders, look, the only reaction I have from agents, right? And they're really happy, right? And this matters for me. When someone writes me a message and says, Erkut, we had this great call with Bruno Costa and I learned so much alone at this. It was a 3 hours webinar, 3 hours, right, with Bruno. So that's valuable for them, right? That's the value they see. And I think creating more opportunities like that from the agency side, I got really good feedback from agents. That's for me the most important thing is getting feedback and learning with agents together. I don't really, I wouldn't say care is not maybe the right word, but I'm not looking out for anyone at a stakeholder telling me, wow, you have done a great job. I don't care, right? So no one has to come and tell me, wow, we really like what you guys doing. We are whatever organization within football, whatever stakeholder, right? This is not the reason we have created it. And my goal is also, and I think IFFA's goal, which I'm not can talk all to myself. I'm talking, yes, I'm the founding president, but in the end, the all members are there. I don't think our goal is to be a part of any group, right? To join FIFA's working group to say, we need to be a part of that. No, that's not our main goal, to be honest. We never even talk about that, right? As I said from the beginning, our goals are simple. We want network with each other, we want educate each other, and we want to act as a one voice group. That's the main goal, right? Whatever happens on the way, it will happen. I'm not never telling we will never join a working group. I would never say that, right? It depends what the board and everyone decides. It's not my decision, right? It's like all the members will say, maybe we make voting. We have nearly, I think, more than 450 members right now. Maybe they say, hey, we should join it, and that's the decision of the members. Like, and then I have to respect that. It's not like that. It's not a personal thing. To make it clear, I'm not deciding personally if we will join FIFA's working group or not. The members have to decide that. If the members see a value in that for them, and if they believe it, and the board, then I think it's a right step in the right direction to try it and to talk. And there will be representative from our group going there and talking. I'm not closing the door to any association or any stakeholder not to start a conversation. But again, that's not our goal, why we started this journey. We don't have to be a member of anything. We are independent. And I think the main word is here, independency, right? We're not bound. We're not paid by anyone. We're not bound to anything. We're not following someone else's rules to be in a group, simple. If that ever happens, if the members want that, then I need to go, I think, myself again, because I don't want to be someone who is doing something what someone else says to me and pays for it. I'm not doing that. That's very simple for me, This is, I think, this will be never our intention, right? Our intention is be the best agent association in the world, where agents have the biggest value. If we create that, then we have achieved something. Where agents say, hey, you know what? I'm a member there for the last 2 years, and man, I've learned so much, and I met so many other agents from all over the world, and I've done deals with these agents in other countries, and it opened me doors in the business of becoming an agent. You should join. That's what I want, right?
So as of yet, there's been no call from FIFA or words of encouragement or invitation?
No, nothing. No, nothing. I don't know if they have contacted the other members or board members, but it never came up so far. And as I said, we're also very new there, right? And it's just a couple of months now we are there, right? So, and yeah, let's see what the future will bring. As I said, we're just growing every day. I mean, every day we're getting new members. It's just as overwhelming. And every day we're getting, hey, Erkut, can I represent IFFA in this country? Can I represent IFFA in this country? So next we will have 2 new announcements of directors from other countries again. So it's just growing now naturally, and we're just going, with the members together, and we'll see where it goes. So my idea is now not, oh, I need to join the FIFA's agent group. No, my idea is, who can I bring next on our Zoom meeting where every member can come and learn? Should I bring a sporting director again? Should I bring a club owner this time? Who should we invite so they can learn something and become better agents? That's the only intention. So week by week, day by day, how can we get better, and work with each other?
Now, as we've said, it's very early days for IFFA, but obviously you have goals and a vision of where to take it. Where do you envisage IFFA going over the next few months, if not years? Is it more of a network and a policy influencer in the future, or something else entirely? And also, going back to that future relationship with the likes of FIFA and other stakeholders, how do you envisage that developing in the future?
Very good question. So where do I see IFFA in future? So I believe IFFA will be if it's not already today, the biggest agents association in the group in the world, right? And by numbers of licensed FIFA agents. And also we will have a door in future, not today, for people who want to become an agent as well. Let them join Zoom meetings so they can learn and then make a decision if they want to pursue this career. So we will place, I think, as our priority goal is literally bring people together, to open them the door, to be able to meet other agents, to be able to learn from others, so that we create ethical, great standards. For me, it would be amazing one day I can see having this code of ethics within IFFA, which says, hey, if 2 agents within IFFA give mandates to each other, to do a deal, then these should be the rules. You know what I mean? So creating our own rules and regulations when it comes to working with each other, that would be amazing. So there's no dispute. There's from the beginning, it's clear that everyone knows what they get from first minute. So I would love to have code of ethics created for agents. Look, that we have things out there, like, for example, no agent is allowed to do this. If you want to be an IFFA member, you should not do this, for example, which is not good practice, for example, right? We should create our own rules and regulations within IFFA. One thing is as well, we will have to govern ourselves one day, right? That's future. Are we becoming an association under Swiss law, or are we staying the way we are? Where do you want to go? And this is also something will discuss with the members and decide in future. So are we becoming a company? Are we becoming a non-profit organization? What's the structure of us, And then, of course, we will have real elections for the board and everything, Actually, for me, is the most important thing to create a great foundation, to have a fantastic foundation ready wherever it goes in future, whichever direction the board and the members will decide to go. But yeah, I think I envision myself an amazing organization where people have regularly online meetings, let's say every 2 months at least, maybe even once a month in future, where we learn. We have always a guest. Then I envision a situation where we meet physically once a year and change every year to another continent. Let's say next year is the World Cup in America. Maybe it makes sense to meet everyone in Miami, just an idea, or New York, somewhere in East Coast, to say our first physical IFFA meeting will be in New York or in Miami in 2026. I would love to have regional working groups under IFFA to say, okay, there are, US and UK have so many members, right? Why shouldn't there be a US meeting only for the US agents, so that they can regional talk more with each other and see how can we make the US a better place for IFFA member. There are like 50, 60 IFFA member already only from the US. So you can already create smaller working groups, right? Yeah, these are the things I'm envisioning and I'm seeing, right? It's creating an organization where really, and people need to feel like comfortable and happy and being felt appreciated to be there. Money should never be a barrier. I don't like that. I want to keep it like for free, a membership. But if the board or the members decide, okay, we need $9.99 per year or so to do something, then it is, But again, these are all future things, but there shouldn't be any barrier to, and the only barrier is you need to be a FIFA licensed agent. But maybe, and imagine the future goal could be, why wouldn't we give a license in future? Why shouldn't the IFFA create a licensing system with FIFPro together? I can imagine that. FIFPro and we are sitting on one table one day and saying, hey, you represent the players, we are the agents, we need to talk with each other, and we together need to actually create a licensing system which helps the players, right? Which helps us and work with each other, right? And I think this could be an interesting journey for us, right? To say, hey, we need to do, like I can envision, because I see it here with the Basketball Association in the United States, where it's done by the Players Association. You get your license to be an NBA agent, right? So the Players Association give licenses to agents, so they protect the players. Why can't we do that with FIFPro together? Maybe that will be the time where we create our own licensing system, right? We don't have to go through FIFA. Why do we have to,
Yeah, that's a very interesting observation, because I see that in Australia with the Australian Football League Players Association. They run the agents, as you mentioned, American sports. NFL, I think it's the same. The NFL Players Association, the same thing.
Yes.
Right now, everyone's talking about FFAR, the German cases in particular that have gone to the European Court of Justice. The Advocate General opinion is possibly going to come out in May. That's what's been stipulated by FIFA and other parties. In terms of going forward from that decision, how do you think the agent regulation should evolve, in particular the FFAR, going forward after those decisions are made?
Yeah, for me, I believe generally a licensing system is good. Like, I was always aligned with that. I was always good if it's FIFA or FIFPro, whoever gives a licensing, I think we need a licensing system to protect also people inside football and to create a certain standard, right? Because we are representing mostly players, but also now clubs, coaches are also for the first time under the regulations. So it's an important profession, and I think we need a standard. We need exams and everything. That's good, licensing. But then there are also regulations within the FFAR, which is like, for example, the salary cap, which is one of the most discussed thing, right? Should there be a salary cap? And I'm a lawyer as well, and I know it's against European law, right? And I could see that without thinking much about that, right? Any law student will understand that the European law will not be accept a certain situation where someone's profession is limited in earnings. It doesn't work with European law. I don't know, maybe in some other countries in the world it might work, but here, like in Europe, where I studied law in Germany, so you can't tell someone you can only earn X amount. It just doesn't work in an open free market, with the regulations we have. And that was always a discussion as well we had with FIFA while I was there. And I said, why do you limit the earning of a play agent but not of the club agent, right? This was my simple question, right? So why should the club agent earn 10%, who's just selling a player, they have nothing to do with just have a good relationship with the club? And why should the player's agent, who does so much work, only earn 3%? It just doesn't make sense, It's just like, it's just senseless. It's like useless and senseless. And it's very bad to come with proposals like that, where you can't even explain why a club agent, the selling club, should earn more than someone who's looking for many years after a player, right? It just doesn't make sense, right? So first of all, it's not fair, the system. And secondly, it's against law, right? And therefore, I believe it will not stand hold with European court, right? This is my personal opinion. And therefore, once you can't apply the law in the European Union, of course, FIFA can't apply it anywhere in the world. You can't say within the European Union, there's a free market, agents can earn 10%, but sorry, in Australia, in Africa, in Asia, and North and South America, it's still 3%. So you can't do that. So you need to apply the law for everyone equally. And so therefore, I believe it will go forward like it is now, actually. The situation we have now. We have always a free market in that sense. And I think FIFA doesn't also realize and understand that a lot of agents work together to make deals and share commission, which is the normality and the reality, right? We couldn't really, I think, because if someone's trying to make rules about you who doesn't understand the business from inside, then you have a problem. That's why I said we need to do the agents regulations with FIFPro together rather than FIFA. Because we know what we're doing. Agents for many years, 20, 30 years, they're in the business. They know what's going on. FIFPro from the player side. But FIFA doesn't know that, right? FIFA's just getting some experts in and says, how can we regulate it? That doesn't work like that. And I think a lot of things will build by time. And I think like the salary cap and all these things, agents have to open up their accounts and show how much they earn and stuff. That's like, you can't do that everywhere in the world. It's impossible to say, someone in some country, oh, that agent is getting 200,000 and it's like public and people can see it. Oh my God, that's like, for some people it's dangerous, right? You don't want to show how much you earn, right? For anyone. Why would, it's your privacy. You can't just decide. I think FIFA should do stuff like, where's the agent chamber? We're waiting like the agent chamber is in the regulations, but it's not there, it's not active. This is what agents need for many years and saying, we're not getting our money. Agents are doing deals in certain countries in Southeast Europe, in Asia, in Africa, like Middle East, whatever, right? And the main issue is you sign, but you don't know if you will get paid and when you will get paid, right? And then but why are agents not protected then, right? If you charge agents every year a fee, if you want to regulate them, if you want to control the money flowing in and out, so why don't we have a really working agent chamber where when agent is not getting paid, that they can claim their income, right? So this is still not done. And I don't know why, maybe you guys know more than I do, but I don't know like why we don't still have an agent chamber, right? Why don't we have this actively? Hopefully it will come soon. Hopefully they're working on it. But again, that's a big problem. This is something we should advocate for. All the agents union in the world, they should write to FIFA and say, we want the agents chamber ASAP. Because people are suffering because of that, going through courts, legally claiming. It's a disaster, Yeah.
It's certainly, yeah, it certainly is. I mean, and I'm not sure we've had any information from the FIFA Agent Working Group on any update on the agents term, but one of the best principles of the FFAR or the ideas is the agents chamber. Licensing and the agents chamber are probably two that most agents will be favourable to. And the agents chamber is fundamental, just like the DRC, dispute resolution chamber, is for player contracts. We need something to be able to, if you're challenging a player or another agent or a club not paying your fees, where you can make a very simple claim internationally in order to claim what's owed to you or put a dispute forward. But yeah, very, very good point. Generally, agents have their media coverage is quite negative. Do you think that agents themselves, including what IFFA is trying to do, is to take more ownership in improving their image in terms of the way they present themselves within the media, within the industry? And do you think IFFA, I should say, I always jump into that.
Oh, good. I do sometimes both as well.
Playing, setting, or improving professional and ethical standards among agents. Is that one of the goals of IFFA?
Yeah, I think if we increase the ethical standards within agents, right, worldwide, that will automatically reflect whatever they do, right? It will change the perspective, right? So the more we educate them, the more we tell them how to do things, the more we tell them don't do ABC, it's not good. That will harm the player, this will harm the club, this will harm your profession, everything. The more we can win them and explain them and do it together, the less we will have these news, right? And the less we have media perception. But media is media, and media likes bad news. Media doesn't like good news, right? And if there are 1,000 agents who are doing an amazing job, and I know many, they do a really good job, you never hear of them, right? They don't want to write of them because they're not famous enough as well. So, but there are like two bad cases that sells, right? Bad news sells and brings clicks online, especially now. The word of journalism must be defined new, in my opinion. There's not many left nowadays. They're not journalists, they're clickbait guys. They're just sitting there creating headlines, and to get the more clicks they get, the more money the outlets make. So there's not many journalists left. And you're in that environment, and the more bad news you create, and agents are really, it's a field, it's kind of mystery for many people outside the world, right? It's kind of these guys with these Gucci, like Gucci bags, then they have their Rolexes and the big cars, driving around, going in private jet. That's kind of the, what people vision themselves, and then that's what the media present them as well, right? But let's be honest, most of the agents, they survive, right? They want to survive. They want to create a living of that, and it takes years to create it. So that doesn't make the news. But hopefully, if we are a strong enough association, we can make interviews with news outlets. We can really tell the story. The members can talk and say what's going on. I think the more we work together, as I said, coming always back to this principle in the beginning, the more we can as well change the vision. And look, again, I always say, look, they say we need to educate agents, but I say you need to educate more people inside clubs, right? So it's not us, it's not only agents in the business. There are many people inside clubs who are actually agents but are called sporting directors, right? So if you go that route, you'll find out like, oh my God, okay, why is that agent, that guy in the club always working with the same agent, right? There's a pattern, right? So, but no one writes about that. No one says anything about that. But yeah, it's usually, and it makes good news. Bad news in sense, it made good news for the outlets to bring out anything about agents, because there are some bad examples out there as well, the way they act, the way they talk to the media, the way they, and they love that to bring it into the media, but they don't take the good examples. Someone graduated from, I don't know, Ohio State, having 20 good players in the MLS, doing hard work, representing them every day, traveling, working hard, make a living, having 2 kids. They don't care about them, right? No one. So it's more like about the guy who is coming out with his Gucci stuff and, and it's this typical picture of an agent, what they have.
Yes, sometimes it's about the big deals and the big money, and that's the only focus. I mean, here at our podcast, the Agents Angle, we try to provide a platform to give giving a lot of agents an opportunity to put forward some of what's happening in the background that people don't sort of understand. Now, From your perspective as a successful educator, football sports lawyer, and a football agent, what qualities are needed for agents to become successful? Is there a template at all, Erkut?
Very good question. And I'm working on that for many, many years, to be honest. And I think there are certain things I say an agent should have, right, or should develop. One of them, communication skills. You need to be a very good communicator. You need to know how to communicate with people inside club, with parents, with players, with media, with brands. Communication skill, you need to learn that. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people inside club don't know that either, by the way. But for as an agent, you need to learn to be a good communicator, right? You need to know when to answer messages, how to call people, how to talk to people. You need to be a good communicator in different cultures. If you go to Asia, in certain countries, you need to adapt. You can't have the same attitude as you have in a European country when you go to an Asian country. So you need to know that. You need to understand different cultures. You need to learn languages. That's what I always say agents when they start, when they're young, I say, what are you doing? Learn at least Spanish and English is a must, right? These two languages. And then if you can, and if you're young, learn another one. Learn either Portuguese or learn French, just learn, or learn Arabic. You can speak in 30 languages, 30 countries or so. Just learn, and I think the more languages they learn, the more doors open for agents. The more they can communicate with different countries, with different clubs directly without having a translator between, right? So communication skills, languages, so developing the knowledge. I think one part, a lot of agents, and I was talking today to one of the agents in Germany, and there was a discussion about training compensation and solidarity contribution. And we were going through a contract. He said, no, there's no solidarity contribution because that deal is inside the country. I said, are you sure? Okay, let's open up the FIFA statutes, right, and read. And then I said, look, there is. It's like once they pass the agent exam, put everything besides, I don't have to do anything. I'm an agent, I'm done. That's the opposite. Once you pass the agent exam, it's about how do you learn more about training compensation? How do you learn more about buyout clauses? How do you learn more about contracts in general? What kind of contracts are there? What is an image right contract? How can you do sponsorship deals? So you need to constantly develop yourself and learn. And I tell them, I do that. I have to read. Today I got again a Nike contract. I'm reading to a Nike contract in another country. So, okay, that's interesting. I never seen that clause that way. And I'm doing it for over 20 years and I'm still learning. And I'm saying, you can't stop learning and developing yourself. As a successful agent, you need to be knowledgeable, ongoing. You need to learn every day, like learning. And then the other part, which comes now on top, is networking. And if you educate yourself constantly with communication, language, and knowledge, and if you put on the networking on top of that or next to it, then you become a very successful agent. So network is so important to go to places. And I just give you an example from this week, right? I had a meeting 2 days ago in Los Angeles in a hotel, Marina del Rey, Marriott. And at the same time in that hotel, there was an event, right? And because of the CONCACAF game of US, the CONCACAF and leaders, they created an event there. And I had a meeting with someone from New York. And I was in the lobby, I was sitting there. And then people were coming in and out, right? And I've seen the faces. Oh, hey, how are you? I was Zoom. And then I didn't have the badge from this meeting, right? But all the guys had. And I felt like, oh my God, I went back 20, 25 years when I was going to these events, when I wasn't even invited, or I didn't even couldn't buy the ticket or so, but I was just hanging around in the lobby to meet people. And even if it's one person and I say hi to a person and change numbers, that's amazing, right? And this is what they need to do, is networking. And I felt the same thing. Oh, okay. What did I do the next day? The second day, there was the second day of the event. And it was only invitation only event. So I couldn't get a ticket either. So I said, okay, I work. So yesterday, I worked from there, from the lobby. I took my iPad, I got my stuff, and I sit there and work the whole day. And I met so many people from different parts, from CONCACAF, from US soccer, from the clubs. And at the same time, I done my work, but I saw people. And I don't mind sitting there and working. And I've done many deals in my life, right? And I'm still learning and still networking. And I tell these agents, it's ongoing. It never stops. You still have to educate yourself and you still have to network every day. Create yourself great profiles online. that people can contact you. So it's very important. And this is also something they need to learn. I'm not saying you're a born networker. You need to learn that as well. You meet someone, then the most important thing is to keep in touch with someone. And the third part is to execute that relationship into something, right? And usually we can't do number two, keeping in touch. And that's what they suffer. 90% of people don't know how to keep in touch with people. And I tell them, you need to learn it. You need to do it. Learn, do it, write a message, even if it's a birthday message. Keep in touch, It's hard, but you have to do it. Because when it comes to number three, to execute that relationship, you need to have number two in place. Otherwise, three is difficult, right? So I would say these are the things, if I summarize it, constantly developing yourself, your knowledge and your personality. And on the other hand, constantly networking. If you bring it together, you'll be very successful as an agent.
Now, there's been a lot of talk that the bigger agencies have got a lot of power in the market, especially in the established leagues. How do you see the role of football agents evolving in the future, especially obviously new technologies, the expectation of players and even parents have changed, the expectation of clubs? You mentioned earlier that clubs work a certain way and you need to be able to understand that. And what trends are you now seeing compared to, say, 10, 15 years ago in the agent space that agents should be aware of?
Very good question. Very good question, Peter. So I started in 2001 in a football agency back in Germany. I was a law student and I was working in a football agency at the same time. At that time, an agent was someone who represents players, right? It was very rare that someone represented a coach or a selling club here and there, but it was like mostly known as a player agent. That was a profession. We are representing players. We are player agents. That was kind of that was that time. Now, 24, 25 years later, an agent today is a business person. It develops so much. So today you represent a selling club. 2 weeks later, you work on the buying club side. 1 month later, you represent a player, broker a deal with another agent together, which was also not very common at the time. Every agent were usually more local and were only representing their own player and usually throughout the whole career, right? Now you work with many agents in different parts of the world because football is more global. You can operate with agents all over the world, which was also not very common. And now players could transfer from all over the place, right? So I think I see the future agent as a business person. You need to open your eyes. I sell to my agents or who wants to educate. Look, this is one side is representing clients as a FIFA agent license, which is player, coaches, selling club, buying club, even an institute, a single entity like the MLS, right? You can represent, or a football association by bringing them a coach. These are clients as a FIFA agent licensed person. And then you have the other side. You can do brand deals with your clients. And you also have now women's football, so even more work, right? So you can do commercial deals and earn 20% per commission, whereas an agent, you earn usually 10%. Commercial deals are very interesting, and not many agents are looking out there. They're just checking only this side as a FIFA agent license. But without a FIFA agent license, you can do so many other things today, right? Brokering these deals and commercial deals. You can also, that's what I do like the last 2.5 years. I'm more like a headhunter recruiter for people working inside clubs, right? I'm like an executive recruiter so I literally, as you can see what kind of learner I am, I know the listeners can't see it, but I need to show you guys and then you can say what that is. So it's called executive recruiting for dummies, right? So when I started 2.5 years.
I can say that.
Yes, you can say that. So when I started 2.5 years, and I said, okay, I represented players, coaches, but I want to represent, I'm a lawyer as well. Why shouldn't I represent as well a CEO and find him the next job, right? Why can't I do that? Why can't I represent the chairman? So I said, okay, that's interesting. So how do you become a recruiter, headhunter? So I started reading, I started learning, and now, fair enough, I'm doing it, right? I just brought someone to the championship as a COO. I brought a CEO to Colombia the other day. I brought a director of scout. So I'm learning, right? Again, it's like, that's why I'm telling to agents, open your eyes. There are more opportunities out there in the football world as an agent, either as a licensed agent, but or as someone who has agent qualities but can work because of the network and the relationship you have with clubs. You can do much more than only representing players, right? So there are a lot of opportunities out there, and it's just like opening eyes and trying to be different, trying to find other niches, not limit yourself only for the player. We need to get away from that now. So we need someone who has, that vision, thinking outside the box, representing a player today, a coach tomorrow, brokering deals, even doing an M&A, helping an investor to buy a club. Is an agent, what an agent can do because of relationship, right? These are just some ideas I just wanted to give to the listeners. So maybe there's some young agents who want to learn how to, what kind of opportunities out there.
Yeah, I agree. I think you need to expand your offerings. The traditional agency model is probably not sustainable, and that sort of leads on to our next question. What do you see the biggest challenge facing newer agents trying to break into the industry today? Is it too many agents? Is it clubs have preferred agents? Is it you need to know or control or represent coaches? Or is it the big agencies will pounce on the best players when you get them into, say, the top 5 or 6, 7, 8 markets where those big agencies are established, and they once your contract finishes with it, and we know it's only limited to 2 years under these rules, they may pounce on your really top talented player that you've transferred into a bigger club. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing newer agents?
I think one of the biggest challenges is having no patience, right? And with patience, I mean really being hardworking, but being patient in terms of for the outcome. A lot of agents or young agents who are starting off and want to become an agent, they think they will make in 1 year their $2 million, right? This is usually an illusion for many, right? It doesn't work like that. Yes, you might be lucky and have that, right? But for 99.9%, it will not work out. That's not the way it works. So you need to be hardworking and patient. Literally keep going on. And a lot of them stop when they're really close actually to make it. And I've seen it. And I've educated many agents out there. And some of them really, they were persistently working on themselves and growing and learning and building their network, building their relationship. And they in the end succeed, And the ones who are like short mind thinking, like, I want to be there tomorrow, I want to get my car, so it doesn't work like that. You need to be, and that's why I say to some people, if you have a job now, keep your job, do that on the side, start, develop, get bigger, and then you can switch over to be 100% agent. Don't sometimes they switch right away and say, okay, now I'm an agent, I need to live from that tomorrow. It doesn't work like that, right? Because a lot of new agents, they start with players. That's the entry in the beginning, and especially with young players. That means the young players are not bringing high commissions. With the first contract, there's not much. Usually the second or the third contract of that young player makes you some money. So you need to be patient, right? And I think that's very important. And I think the obstacles, usually it's their own mind, as I already said. They're not waiting. They want to be very quick somewhere where they can't be. And the other I wouldn't say other agents are obstacle at all. I don't see that. There could be like 10,000 more agents. Look, more agents will not make the business bad. It's good competition. The more people are there, the greater the business will become, because you have to be good. You need to develop yourself. You're competing now, which is a good thing. And there's enough money in football, and football is growing still, right? We're in an economy. It's not getting. I live in the United States here, and it's growing every day, right? It's like, and so many other markets, it's growing. The Middle East is growing. Even the Premier League is still growing. The TV rights are growing. It's not getting down. So with other words, there is so much opportunity globally and worldwide. And from that perspective, I would never, ever say to someone like, wow, there's so many agents, you have no chance to succeed. That's bullshit. That's just someone want to, from the beginning, scare off, or someone's, like, doesn't believe in themselves. It's the same thing with lawyers. There are 100,000 lawyers all over the place. Wherever you go, right, left, there are lawyers. So does it mean you can't survive or be successful? No. But I believe an agent should find their niche, right? Every agent has something to offer, everyone. So for me, I would say I'm a lawyer. That's my need, because contracts are my thing. I've done a PhD in sports law. I'm teaching that. being a lawyer is my also edge. Being educator, that helps me. That's my niche, so to say, right? But for someone else, I know someone, he's a mental coach and he's really good in that. And I said, wow, that's a big asset to have. The more actually today, you should do your licenses to become a mental coach, do extra courses, develop that knowledge, because you will work with, if you work with players and coaches, you can use that tool to be very successful. And people will come to you and say, wow, this agent is not just only an agent, he also works with my son or with my daughter mentally. He's kind of a mental coach and brings my kid into a next level. Someone else is maybe good in finance and brings some additional, whatever it is, but I feel, or someone else says, I'm in a market between Morocco and US. Like I met the other day an agent, he is in US and he is from Morocco. He's very good connected. I say, create your niche between these two countries, right? Build something and start somewhere. So build your niche, be very good in an area, and then move on, right? There are agents, for example, you live, I don't know if you're Sydney or Melbourne, where are you, Peter?
Melbourne,
right? I would say to an agent in Melbourne, go to the Melbourne youth games, under 17, under 15, under 19, under 20. Just stay there. Just see who's coming and going. Just talk to a parent, to a scout. Just being there is important. So people don't want to even do that nowadays. You know, it's cold or it's too hot. What should I do in the morning at 11? Standing there in the cold in Stoke in the middle of nowhere, right? Or in Hull. But I was doing that. I was going out. I was like, I remember like there's in Germany, and there was this dad of a young talent, right? And he was like 16, 17. And I was like, I need to talk to this dad, right? This weekend, I go there and I talk. It's a home game. I talk. And I said, before the game, I talk to the dad. So I took myself, okay, I'm going there and I'm seeing the dad is standing with someone else. So no, I don't want to disturb. Wait till halftime. I get coffee and then I go again. Halftime it is. Halftime, I still can't get it over myself. And I said, fuck, I couldn't do it again. After the game is the best time. I talk to him. After the game finished, that was gone, right? But that experience, you know, it's gold. And I've done it many times, right? Just to go, just to try to talk to someone, open up yourself. You can't lose. You can just win. Right. And I think if I would be living in Melbourne, if I'm a young agent, I would go to every single home game of Melbourne City just to meet people. You meet parents, you meet scouts, you meet coaches, you meet other agents, you learn from each other. And that's to be strong where you are. Build relationship where you are first. If you're in Melbourne, don't think to go to Perth every weekend. Why would you do that? Use your network in Melbourne, right? So Peter, our group signed a player from Melbourne City. I need to talk to you.
We can do that offline at a later date, no problem. But yes, I mean, we're seeing, the agent industry, I agree, has changed. I mean, football lawyers are moving in, are pushing with the bigger deals. Scouts are playing a role. Mental coaches, very important, because you've got a different generation of players where parents are more involved, and people need a little bit of more that sort of mental coaching or that psychology. So a lot of different trends. And as you said, you got to find your niche. It's obviously much harder in established markets. But you mentioned growing markets in America, Australia's still growing, starting to export a lot of talent. Asia, there are a lot of opportunities. You just got to find your niche. And I agree with that. It can't be stock standard traditional. Last question. We ask this question to all our guests. Erkut, if you had one wish for the football agent industry over the next 5 years, what would it be?
Work together, not be divided. You know, be like together, be one. I think there's enough for everyone. We shouldn't go and try to get someone else's play. We should work with them. You know, I would really envision an environment where agents are working together with each other for the better of the player, for the better of the club, you know. And I think we need to learn to be partners in this business. Everyone can have their own company. Everyone can have their own business. But we need to learn to collaborate with each other worldwide, and that will help everyone. And I think that will be an environment where I would love to say, okay, I'm collaborating with an agent in Japan, in South Korea, in Kenya. I would love that environment where agents actually working together and not against each other and not getting divided by others.
Yes, and we know in the agent game, as I like to call it, that's the name of my book. I shouldn't say that. There's a lot of ego, a lot of in the profession. But I agree, unity is very important, and lowering those barriers between people because everyone's got something to offer. Thank you so much, Erkut. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. We covered regulatory, your new association, which sounds very exciting, and the business of football, because I know you've written a lot of books and mentored a lot of people on the business of football agency. Fantastic to have you on. Jonathan, any comments?
No, nothing from me, Peter. I think it's been a great insight and a lot of tips there for both experienced agents and those coming through on the scene. So, Erkut, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Jonathan, Peter. I really enjoyed it. It was a great conversation. And thanks for having me on your show. Good luck with this. I'm listening to your podcast and hopefully you grow and get more. So we have more to listen. And this is also a contribution for you from you guys to the business. So we are learning. We just keep learning from others' experiences, from others, their knowledge. And it's a great contribution to the agents. Well, thank you for that, for doing this and bringing all us together.
And there we go. A fantastic interview, not just in relation to IFFA and the representation of agents in the football world, but also a lot of valuable information on the agency business that didn't make the edit for last week's episode of The Agents Angle. So we hope you found it useful. The Agents Angle will return next week for its next scheduled normal episode, all being well. So it would be great to have you join us. Until then, take care and bye for now.
The purpose of the Agents Angle podcast is to provide news, information and facilitate discussion on regulatory matters, policies, business trends and issues affecting football agents worldwide. The opinions and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only and should never be considered legal or professional advice. Furthermore, the views expressed by guests are their own and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Thank you for listening.